Hey folks, welcome to a new segment that we're running here at TaylorMade called Tour Talks. My name's Chris Trott. I work out on the global tours, servicing always the game's greatest players, but usually out on the road. We're going to take this opportunity due to the global pandemic to spend some time talking to our Team TaylorMade stars, our athletes, asking them about life and asking them about how they're dealing with the current situation that we all find ourselves in. So without further ado, joining us on a video conference call, which I know I certainly never expected my first sit down with this player to be, is Doc Redman. So Doc, welcome to Tour Talks.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's good to be here.
This was a great opportunity for me. I got to do some research on you, albeit we pulled this thing late together. So thanks for coming on. And I saw that I knew you were good and I knew that you had great pedigree, but to fill people in a little bit, we're talking about US amateur champion and then making that Walker Cup squad, and the journey of getting to the tour that we're going to talk about here was very impressive. But when I look at that US Walker Cup squad, there's a lot of good names in there. What makes the difference between you getting on the tour, flourishing, having a nice start to your pro career, which looks to me like it's been a hustle, it's been a great hustle, and we'll get to that. But what makes the difference, just so we can relate? We make it into a Walker Cup team. How do you ensure you make the next step?
Yeah, I think that's a good question.
Out the gate, I'm coming in hot, you see, mate.
Yeah, you really are. Jeez. No, I think it was funny. The Walker Cup was such a big goal of mine that summer. So it was really exciting and I kind of made it late too. You know, I made a late charge to make the team and then capped it off, obviously, with the USAM. But then we had so many good players on that team. And it's funny, we knew we were good too. You know, we were all in there, and just kind of the resume of everyone who's on there was incredible. We knew we were good. You know, we went out and kind of killed them, to be honest with you. And then from there on,
easy now. Remember, I'm a European. So
I know. But it was exciting for us, especially because we had Spider as our captain, and he had lost over on y'all's soil, whatever the 2 years before. And so he really took that personally, and Mav was there, who's on tour now, obviously, and he was taking that personally. So we were really driven to play well. And then from there on, you know, I played another year of college, but from then on, since I had accomplished a lot, you know, my freshman year, and then that summer, it was kind of like, okay, what do I really need to do now to get better? I need to kind of take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward. And, you know, with the help of my coaches, I really did that, I think, and it got me ready to play professional golf and ultimately be where I am right now.
So you think it was the transition between the way in which you managed the transition from elite amateur to pro game?
Right.
And that, looking back, that's got to be cool to look at. And now you find yourself with steam through year one of your full season on a card, and we grind to a halt because of obviously this global situation. What do you find yourself doing, like mentally? How do you deal with the fact that you're off to a good start, and you're appearing on the media channels for the PGA, you're appearing on news stations, you're appearing on live sport news. Now we grind to a halt. Mentally, how do you deal with that? Because that's new for all of us.
Yeah, I think honestly at first, and you know, for these 2 weeks, it's been kind of nice because it just felt like it's been nonstop for a while now. You know, I played a lot late last summer to secure my card, and then I've played a lot this year just because, you know, why not? And so I guess starting now, I've looked at this as kind of a guaranteed little off season where I don't have to, these first 2 weeks, worry about golf. But you know, it stinks. We had so many nice tournaments coming up with the Florida Swing, and we were starting to get into the majors, and you know, I was really looking forward to the team event in New Orleans. So it stinks. It's kind of setting in that, you know, we're not going to be playing golf for a while. But it's also a great opportunity to get better. You know, I've gotten into the weight room a lot, which is difficult to do, playing a lot, and that's been great. And then, I'm gonna kind of start practicing again and get better.
And without stating the obvious, the weight room is difficult to do when you're playing because you can now hit that in a format different to you play the season doing.
Right, exactly. So now, since we've got, an extended period of time off, I'm going to the gym, 5-6 days a week and going pretty hard, and not really worried about, whether I'm sore or maybe, don't feel like practicing that day or not. And then kind of like you said, during the weeks when we get to tournaments, there are some guys who definitely work out hard. I saw Rory in the gym pretty hard at Bay Hill on Wednesday. And, so I guess I could get to that level, but just those days get long. I haven't played a lot of those courses, and after a while, you just kind of want to go home and rest and not hit the gym for an hour.
And you touch on Rory there, but are there moments you've had around the tournaments you've played, and have there been key things you've learned from other athletes, be it Team TaylorMade athletes or be it anyone on the tour, there's a lot of people around the tour that used to play on the tour and now might work in TV or even coach. Has there been anyone in particular that you've been like, I just didn't think of that? That's amazing. And you wouldn't have had that opportunity to learn it had you not have been a tour player.
Right. I think what I hear most from guys is just about rest, honestly, more than anything. I talked about all that work, but because it does get tiring and
difficult to do, right?
Yeah, it is. Exactly. You want to practice as much as you can, especially the facilities are good, and you just want to feel like you're totally ready. And but it gets tiring, and you got to remember that you want to, peak come the weekend, not wear yourself out before the weekend. So I think that's helped. And something I've remembered, gosh, this has been years now, but I was at the Masters, and I was playing with JT that week and Sergio, and then I think we're having breakfast before the second round, and I'm with Justin Thomas and Charlie Hoffman. And, I'm just like, guys, did you do anything special here getting ready that I wouldn't have thought of that I can take forward? And they said, listen, we try and practice the easy shots, get those up and down. We know where the pins are going to be. And I want to get those down because I know that's what's going to separate. I'm not going to get the hard shots down. And I think that goes to show, how the PGA Tour is really. If you go put yourself in an impossible spot and try and get that up and down, you still might get it up down, 2 times out of 10, you're just kind of screwed. And that's going to be everyone. But so I've really taken that, as well into my practice rounds. And, I'm trying to look at spots where I'm most likely going to be, where it's not necessarily easy and it's not necessarily hard, but it's something that if I want to differentiate myself this week and kind of, the difference between 30th and 15th or close to top 10 would be just little things here and there. I get this up and down. I make this putt, things like that.
So with that said, are you a big strokes gained watcher? Does that impact how you practice?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I guess as you should, I firmly believe in the strokes gained thing. That's definitely the best stat we got. And I think it, shows a lot. So I think like this year, I've struggled with my chipping a lot, and I'll tell you that, and the stats will tell you that. So I'm definitely working on that a lot. But I think, just continuing to work on everything though as well. I'm just trying to get better in all aspects. But I think the strokes gained, I think it's fun to look at it, and I think you can learn a lot from it.
So, like I said, I wanted to go there with this because it amazes me at your journey to the tour. 2018, you turn pro and you play in the Memorial. You give up your chance to play US Open and the Open. So this is going to be a double part question. But first off, did Jack Nicklaus recognize that when you go and play in the Memorial? And did he say anything to you because you've given up a chance to play in some big tournaments to turn pro there? Then the next thing, you get limited starts in 2019. You get a Monday qualifier spot. second place from that Monday qualifier in the Rocket Mortgage. That then gets you into a series of events. You finish T20 at an Open Championship over in Europe, which is no easy task because I assume you don't have a ton of links experience. And that week was horrific when it comes to weather. I'm talking like raining sideways, cats and dogs, Forrest Gump episode where the rain's coming up at him and everything. You go out, US kid, doesn't know a whole ton about it, finish T20, which is huge for getting your card. Basically then come back and now have this spot where you've got the full rights to play. But as you said, I can understand when you sit there and go, I'm just taking a breather. I can totally get it. So like I say, two-part question.
Right.
Well, how was those decisions are big?
Yeah, it was really tough. I skipped some of those events in the summer just because, like the U.S. Open, I just thought, my goal for my career, right? If everything goes well, I'll play tons of U.S. Opens. Yeah. I'll play 10, and hopefully, looking back on it, this one won't make. It's not going to be. It's just going to be small. Who cares? So that's what I was thinking. It's not going to help me towards my journey, whatever. And I haven't played one yet, but I think many will come. And I skipped the British Open too, or the Open Championship, and never would have thought I would have played last year. That would have been crazy to say. But that was really, it goes to show you. I skipped it, and there I was the next year playing. That can happen, and that was just part of the journey. And playing Memorial, I could play that as a pro, and that was awesome. That was the first pro start, and that course is, gorgeous. And they got it set up so well, and such a great host, and Mr. Nicklaus. And I don't think we really specifically talked about anything, but, it was great to say hi, and that was the first time I ever met him. And it was, just a cool experience. And I think, I didn't come out hot, running and gunning like some of these guys now, like, Wolf or Morikawa, but that's my journey. I'm not like them, and everyone does it differently.
You seem very committed to the journey and committed to the long term of this, which I can respect. And it's, again, digging into this amateur thing. The US amateur win at the iconic Riviera. I mean, you were 2 down with 2 to play, right? Against Duncan, is that right?
And I was kind of like a little bit of a nobody going in, and I didn't play well in stroke play. And, I just don't think a lot of people really expected me to do that well, or at least get to that part, and then to make the comeback that I did. It was just totally unexpected, but, I knew I could do it. And, it was just all about kind of self-belief and right. It was, writing my own story, kind of like I'm trying to do now, with getting on the tour. And I don't think there's any one way to, to do anything. Like we've talked about, everyone has their own path, and I'm kind of just trying to stick with whatever that path is and do the best I can.
And it's amazing because, you qualified and you touched on it, 62nd out of 64 to get into the match play. Then you go and win the whole match play. So yet you're now competing 4 rounds of golf against the best players in the world. You're holding your head up strong. You're going in completely different conditions, completely different culture to what you've grown up on, doing well over there. So it's amazing how quickly you've learned. But do you feel there's a huge difference between a stroke play format and the way in which you play versus a match play format? And does that then, as we've kept this US and European conversation going, mean that I need to be panicking about Ryder Cups going forward?
I think there's some subtle differences, yeah. But I think you're still trying to do the same thing. You're still trying to set yourself up with birdies. You're still trying to hit a lot of greens, especially when you're playing a tough course like a Riviera or, anything we play out on tour. You're trying to hit a lot of greens, so you have a lot of birdie looks, and hopefully you make some putts and hit a few close. I think, there's some subtle, if your guy you're playing against hits a bad shot, or, maybe you're 2 down and you need to make something happen, then that's different. But, you still got to hit greens, hit fairways, give yourself putts. I guess at least if you make double or triple, it's only a hole. It's not, a few shots. But I don't know. You guys are doing, I guess I don't know much, about the Ryder Cup, but, I think we're really strong and, the Europeans are always really strong. But I think it seems like it's great. There's more camaraderie from United States players and playing a few more team events. Growing up I played the US 4-ball when I was a senior in high school and got to play the Walker Cup. And so I think that helps as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all got to add up, and you only think it's going to make for obviously a great sporting event, as the President's Cup is now becoming. I think that down in Australia was great to watch, knowing it's a great golf course. But speaking team play, you played college golf at Clemson, studied math there, I believe. Also, that place is pretty famous for partying, right? Isn't that a big party?
No, it's not I mean, it's a good time, just like any college. I don't know if it's famous, but it was the right mix between, golf, school, and having a good time. And I think I really took advantage of that. And so it made although it was a short college experience, just 2 years, I really enjoyed it.
And you're a basketball fan, or were a player as well? Was that an option as a career?
No, I'm no good. I played a little middle school basketball, and I like to think I'm semi-athletic. So, I really got into football when I was down there and got to know Coach Sweeney a little bit and some of the players we've had. And so I'm, much more a college football fan than a college basketball fan.
Okay. And getting back to golf in terms of the PGA Tour and in terms of your goals, I don't know how much you can say, or even if you know, but what's the PGA Tour planning to do for 2020? Do you have any clue when you'll be back? And then beyond that, when we get back to some normality, what's the goals for that? And do you set them 5 years, 3 years, 2 years? How do you do it?
Right. I think I know just about as much as anyone, just trying to hear little bits and pieces. Obviously, I guess Colonial would be our first event back right now. Not to be, I feel like I'm usually an optimistic guy, but it would seem hard to believe to me that we would actually play there, just seeing what's going on now and reading the news and all that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's going to be really interesting. I know, they got a lot of decisions to make. Webb or Korn Ferry hasn't played many events. I guess we've played a decent amount of events, but in the grand scheme of things, we've missed a lot of really important events, big events, and I guess we'll see if those happen, but it kind of, it's weird. You think about, I was thinking, we play college golf and we play not that, 10 events maybe. And I've never really played a full season of anything. And so it's weird this first PGA Tour season is not going to be a full tour season because, of this thing. So I was just making goals right now of just kind of 1 year. At the start of the year, I had some goals I set out and really kind of wanted to take a big picture of it just because, like I said, I've never played a full season. So it's easy to, I feel like in college you look at one event or a fall, and there's so many events left too. I'm struggling in some things, but kind of coming on strong, and now we won't know for a few months, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's interesting. How do you keep with not knowing? I mean, realistically, we could be faced with you going straight back into a major,
Right.
So how do you keep any little touch and feel sharp? And is there any home tips you can give for any of us out there? Are there any books that you're reading that could help us? I know I've read on here that you like the stocks. I mean, that's got to be quite a fun little dabble at the moment, if anyone's into that. Is there any tips you can give us or anything there?
Yeah, I haven't touched a club in 2 weeks, actually, because I was just trying to take it easy. But, I think just getting out there and hitting shots as much as you can, whether it's in your yard or hitting putts in your house, just trying to kind of hit lines, or if you're hitting chips, landed in a bucket, so I think I'm just going to try and stay sharp and, as sharp as I can be. And then I'm lucky that I play out at TBC Sawgrass, which they're still open. And, it's a championship golf course. So I can stay pretty sharp there. But in the end of the day, kind of like you're saying, you can't replicate PGA Tour golf, and you definitely can't replicate major championship golf.
Yeah.
And, you just got to be, I think, mentally ready, ready to tee it up, be competitive, and kind of grind it out, really, make pars however you can. That's PGA Tour and major championship golf.
And to develop your mental side, has there been any individual or any books or anything you've turned to fill that?
Yeah, I've worked since college. I've worked with kind of a mental coach. His name's Corey Schaefer. He's up in the Clemson area, and we talk, almost twice a week, I'd say. Just kind of what's going on, what are you feeling, how am I uncomfortable over some shots, whatever, what's going well. And then I honestly don't even read really like golf-specific books, just kind of a lot of mental improvement books. Ego is the Enemy. I know Rory's really into that. And I've read that, and Stillness is the Key is one of his new books that's really good. And so I'll just do a lot of that stuff, just kind of read some books and see how I can get a little better mentally.
Yeah. So my experiences of working with you since you got on the tour, I've noticed that you, and I'm going to say it now because you're all the way over there and I'm sat here, so I can say what I want, right?
Right, exactly.
I mean, I've noticed that you are, like all young tour players, very headstrong, very confident in what you want to play, finding your ground. You're going to play the best clubs that are right for you right now. And I understand that. So I've obviously given you your space to blossom and develop. But now I feel like we're absolute best of buddies. I think that we'll get right into it when I next see you at a tour event, and we'll change the whole bag, aren't we?
Right. I think in the past, whatever it's been 6 months since I got on tour, I've learned a lot about myself and what I like in clubs, and a lot about, what's best for me in my tendencies and my swing. So whereas maybe, 6 months ago, I'd come to you kind of not knowing what I wanted, or, just letting you run with it. Now I can speak more confidently, and, I'm just smarter about coming up to you. Hey, I want this. I think this would be great. What do you think about this? Kind of pitching ideas to you as well. And I think, that's what I've been particularly lucky, have been around PGA Tour events a lot. You texted me, is this your full season? Well, yeah, it is. But, coming into the year, I'd played 10 probably. So I kind of knew how it was. I knew what the deal was, and I was getting comfortable being out there and starting to know some guys. So it was easy to come up to you and ask for help and all that, because it can be intimidating. There's a lot going on, as on the putting green on Tuesday at a tour event.
Yeah.
And I think, just all this experience has helped me, and now I know what I want. And like you said, I'm best friends with you, and, Housie and Chu and all that, and Ryan, of course. And it's easy to find help and get what's best for me.
So with that said, I see there's a golf bag behind you. Is that your game bag?
So this is my, let's see if I can make it work. This is my golf bag, yeah. Want to run through a little what's in the bag?
I want to see it. Let's hear what you got going on.
All right, so I got to show the front panel too. Got Clemson, got Garden of Life.
Garden of Life.
I like the Tailor-made bags this year.
Garden of Life. Talk to us about that. That's a nutritional bar, right?
Yeah. So, right. So I was actually really good friends with Sam Ryder and lived with him for a few months, and he used Garden of Life. And I kind of wanted to, ever since, obviously I've made some money over the summer too, I wanted to get into just healthier eating. How can I be better for my body? And I used some of the products, Garden of Life, and I loved it, and I wanted to get on. So now I'm, on their organic, grain-free protein powder, taking some multivitamins, things like that, just to try and be healthier so I can be out on tour, 30 weeks a year.
Sounds like a Southern California supplement. Very good. Like it.
It's great.
All the good stuff in there. So what about the real stuff that's in the bag? What about the golf clubs?
Yeah, so these, let's see. So I'm going 60, 56, 50 with the wedges. I think this is actually more like 55 degrees, and this might be 51 degrees. Not that that matters that much, but we got the new TaylorMade mill grinds. I think we just switched to these over the winter break, and they've been really good, and love them.
So on your wedges then, you fit those to a specific yardage because you were very specific about the degrees of loft. So you are fitting them to a yardage. That's how you do it, rather than, okay, I'm just going to hit a 60. Do you ever go from 3 wedges to 4 wedges, depending on the golf course each week?
No, I've stuck with this, and I guess I've thought about what you said about, switching wedges and all, and I think that could almost be the next step for me, just as a golfer, knowing golf courses better, knowing my tendencies. But so part of it is, for a long time I had a 54 degree, and I never thought I could get a lot of height chipping with it. I wasn't comfortable with it, so went to this 56, and I love chipping with it, and it's also great for little half shots. I don't think a lot of guys hit full 60s because you're just going to rip it off the green and not control the trajectory, the spin. And I feel really comfortable from, 80 to 100 yards, just kind of punching my 56 and getting it to stop where I need it to.
And what ball do you use?
I just switched to the TB5. I was in the X.
And did you change the ball based on the wedges, or did you change it based on the flight of the driver?
I changed it more on wedges and irons. I thought I could hit a little higher and with maybe a hair more spin.
Yeah.
I think I was a little low spin on the irons, and I hit it high, but I just thought, it would be great to get a little more spin. I think because we molded it around the irons.
The only thing I would add, and sorry to interject there, but Rory turns up at a tournament with sometimes 6, 7 different wedges. And then he makes the decision, and you've probably seen it, but I know all you guys are doing your own preparation and obviously new relationships with different players. Sometimes you don't get into that section, but I know Torrey Pines this year, he even on Wednesday morning, he had 5 wedges in the bag and was trying to figure out, if I play the North course at this time, maybe I'll use this loft because I need this long iron that I can't drop because it's a par 3 that the wind is going to be off the ocean because the marine layer that week. I'm going to need 3 iron. So I don't want to make space to drop wedges. It's just interesting, and perhaps it's something when we return that we should make you up every loft so that then you can be prepared to travel and have it.
I think that even, that speaks to just how much, his experience helps too. These guys, Rory, Tailor, there's countless veterans out there, right, who have played, 10 times out at Torrey in tournament conditions and US Open conditions. And so they know what to expect, and they know what kind of has happened in the past, why they haven't been successful, why they have, and they can change up their bag to fit what they need.
So if nothing else, then we found that out. So what about the rest of the bag you got going on?
So the rest of the bag, I do have pitching wedge, the P750, and I've got these irons all the way up to 6 iron. And then recently in December, right before kind of the new year, all those tournaments started in Hawaii, I went to these, 5 and the 4, I got the 760s in.
Okay.
So I just wanted, I thought a little more forgiveness, maybe a little bit more height on the long irons would be great. I think.
What shafts have you got in those?
I've got X100s.
Okay.
I've had X100s for a long time, and they felt great. And
it didn't change anything there. Just stuck with that, but then just different heads is what you.
Yeah. I just thought, because I think I love the 750s. I think they're awesome, and I just thought these might be a little bit better in the long irons. I don't think
again, a lot of our guys do that. They transition between the models to give them different flights and to hit different numbers. And that sounds to me like if you're doing that with the golf ball, you're very conscious of hitting numbers and yardages.
Right. Well, I think that's the biggest thing that I think among PGA Tour players. It's, a lot of people are pretty obsessed with how far we hit it, but I think the more impressive thing is, especially when we use these irons like these, we want it to go the exact same, or we want it to go the distance we think we're hitting it, with these irons. We don't want it to go too far. We don't want to catch flyers. And, that's what the best guys are. Tiger's great at that. And people have always told me back in the day, Tiger hit it long with his driver, but he was almost short with his irons.
Yeah, yeah.
But he knew exactly how far it was going.
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing, and no doubt will get you at these photo shoots. But for me as an equipment guy, having the opportunity to watch his ball fly and to watch the way he hits descending irons and to just see the club delivery, I mean, I'm learning even as an equipment guy. So someone like your eye that's at the level you're at and can do the things you can do with a golf ball, it would be a dream come true to see that. And I really hope that when we get past this, we see you at our photo shoot next year and just give you the opportunity to see it and have these conversations, because clearly there's a lot of information. So before we leave, I have to see what's in under those head covers. What did you transition into this year?
So we'll start. So I recently went to this Sim 5 wood, and we've got it set up a little higher. I'm not exactly sure what, but this is a cool head cover too.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's from which tournament were those at? That was
this was at
Nicklaus. It was a Nicklaus thing he did.
Yeah, it was at down in Palm Beach.
You got
at the Honda. And so then just switched to this 5 wood because I've never really been able to get a 3 iron up in the air. And I think hybrids are very toe biased, kind of going left, which I hate to see. And this has worked out great. I mean, the height on it's awesome, feels great, easy to hit. So it's really worked out well.
Have you had a chance to get hold of a Sim Max hybrid yet?
It's a good question that I can't answer. I don't remember which one I tried.
Because there was a nice story around the photo shoot, the Sim Max hybrid. We only had one there and everyone fell in love with it. But I completely hear you about conversations about deviation in ball flight.
Right. I did try one hybrid and it was great. It just it was too difficult to fade. And, it was just I have to feel like I'm slicing it to hit a fade, and goes back to it. Right. And then, so I'm still playing the M6 3-wood right now, actually.
And for what reason? Why have you not transitioned? Because 3-wood's always a difficult club.
Right. Exactly. That's part why, I would say, because it's a difficult club, and I've loved this, hit it great for what feels like years, although it hasn't been. And I have extreme confidence with it off the tee. If I ever feel uncomfortable on a tee shot, I'll go straight to the 3-wood. And, I've started hitting it really well off the ground as well.
Yeah.
And
it's just got to fill so many roles, hasn't it? It does. It's good. It's not. I guess it is. It's good to hear that tour players have the same, fears of changing that part of the golf bag as the rest of us do.
Right. Which you're right. It does. It's funny. You want something good off the tee that doesn't go too high, but then you want something off the ground that does go high so you can hit it into par 5. And, it's contradicting, and it's got to be tough for, the people making the clubs, because we want it to do everything.
Yeah.
And it's just, impossible for it to do that. But I think this one does everything pretty darn well. So I've just kind of stuck with it so far. But I did try. I mean, the new 3-wood's great as well. So every wood you guys make is great.
We'll get you there. I'm sure there's time at the moment with this off time that we can get you in one.
Exactly. And then I've got Sim Max. I guess that 9 degree. We've played around with the driver a little bit since you guys came out with it as well, and I think the Sim's awesome. I think it is even better than last year. and shoot, I hit it great. It goes really straight. I think miss hits are really good online. Don't spin offline like, you can see with some drivers. And so I've really liked it.
Yeah. It's been a fantastic one for us, and it's been an easy transition getting tour players in. Doc, it's been awesome to speak to you on here, and I think that you touched on it earlier when I had to text you last night because I was reading through the information and I literally couldn't believe that this is your first full season, because you've managed yourself so well that it's almost like you've been around us on the trailer. You don't come on and ask for funky things. Any decision you're making seems to be measured, and it's credit to yourself. And as you start to build the picture, and hopefully people listening or watching this can build the picture around it, it's amazing to see you come so far in such a short period of time. And just talking to you is amazing to just get that information from you. So I appreciate you coming on to Tour Talks, and hopefully we'll see you on another one of these, or perhaps we'll get you on the podcast when we're back out on the road.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to do it. Thank you for having me.
So stay safe, buddy, and keep working out. I think I'm definitely off to go and find those books that you talk about and do some home chipping and see if I can get better myself.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
See you.